Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Reddit video. Today we will be covering some of Reddit's most disturbing stories. This video is going to be a similar length to the last one, but it's only going to have 2 stories. So please just let me know if you like more stories in a longer video, or maybe a combination of short stories and a shorter video. I'm just testing things out right now to see what you guys like and dislike, and just want to get a feel for what you're interested in. So please be sure to give me feedback. And with all that out of the way, let's get into story number 1. The Clicks. A few years back in 2020, me and my friend went into a sort of far part of a forest by his house in Colorado. Now, if you want me to specify, it is Black Forest. Now let me kind of give you a visual. There was my friend's house, then if you head deeper into the forest, you run into a little abandoned house. Then after a while, you get to a little sand canyon. It wasn't just me and him, it was his sister, his dogs, and then his sister's friend. As we headed into the forest, I kept hearing something that I couldn't describe. At best, I can remember and described the sound as stepping on a twig, but really, really quiet. As we found ourselves at the sand canyon, we overlook a creek. We usually just walk down, but today we decided to slide down. I was the first one down. After I fell onto the grass, my sister's friend said, "Hey, do you guys hear that?" "Hear what?" my friend said. "That clicking," to which we all responded no. We chalked it up to her dog maybe stepping on something. And after that, my friend and his sister's friend slid down. Now it was just my friend's sister. As she was sitting down, it got quiet for all of us to hear 4 human-sounding clicks. The dogs broke the silence immediately, barking at something in the trees. Lines one motion in me. My friend and his friend's sister ran onto the hill, and the sand canyon bordered and booked it straight to the house. I heard nobody really running after us, which makes me wonder if the next part can be chalked up to these clicks. After we arrived back at his house, we all went to the table and began to talk about what happened. Everyone else just chalked it up to various other things. Me, though, I knew what I heard. After we ate dinner and the day progressed, we decided to sleep on his trampoline, which was right next to the forest. Now this part comes from my friend, and what he said happened when I went inside to go to the restroom. As they were about to connect to the speaker, my friend's sister was playing with a flashlight as she just kept turning it off and on constantly. She felt like she kept hearing clicks a little off sync. She stopped for a second. Click, click, click. My friends didn't waste any time and jumped up from the trampoline and ran back in. I was about to put on my shoes when they all ran inside. They told me about the human-like clicks they heard. We decided not to sleep outside and instead sleep inside. Story doesn't end there, unfortunately. Later that night, after I was done using the restroom, I fell into a half-asleep state. Then I heard it once more. Click, click, click. This time, though, I thought my friend did it as a joke and didn't think about it till the next morning when I asked them if they did it as a joke last night. They were all confused when I asked and told me that they were dead asleep. I then remembered that we had never shut the window that night. Me and him kind of grew apart after 2021, and I have only been back to his house in that forest once and never heard the clicks again. The end. Smile. It's been a while since I last wrote about my spiritual experiences. So to speak, I only plan on writing about true events, so please bear with me. It takes a lot out of me to have to relive these nightmares and account for so many details that I've worked so hard to forget. I've loved horror movies since I was a small child. Scary ghosts, haunted houses, transforming werewolves, blood-sucking vampires. I love it all. My mother explained to me a very long time ago how scary movies were made to look so realistic, and I was instantly obsessed. These creatively disturbed people brought to life a whole new reality. A reality made up of their own beautiful dreams and wicked nightmares. After all these years, I'll admit, I used to think something was just off. Why would I, as a young child, adore such gruesome scenes? I think now, as selfish as it is to admit, I find comfort in knowing I'm not the only one that has seen these monsters. After all, the things we conjure in our minds have to come from something, don't they? Could the multiple decades of slasher movies and biting your nails horror shows influence the nightmares of mine? Sure. Only problem is, I've yet to find a direct correlation. When I watch these movies, I don't have nightmares. I only have nightmares when I don't watch werewolves morphing and vampires stalking innocent prey. And I've never dreamed of the monsters I see on screen. No. My mind prefers to get creative and terrify me with its own brand of horror. So here we go again. It's summer 2024, just a couple weeks ago actually. A beautiful boring day per usual. The trees are beautifully budded, the flowers sway in the light breeze, while frogs and crickets chirp in a symphony. The hot blazing sun is finally starting to rest on these blue Kentucky hills. Only a moment of solitude passes before the immediate punch of boredom quickly charges and dominates my easily swayable mind. May as well go back inside and go to bed, I thought, as my feet slowly move my restless body towards the house. I open our front door, the door that used to glow white, that is now covered in dark mud and thick dirt, just like my life, something that was once so light and free that's now masked in grit and shit. Just another thing I've yet to muster the energy to clean. I'll get to it eventually, I lied to myself, eventually knowing it was nothing more than a pretty lie wrapped in the most ridiculous bow. I'd normally change into pajamas, but that's all I wear anymore anyway, so I'm already dressed for bed. I swiftly ramble through our nightly routine, get the kids ready for bed, pick up the house, and let the dog outside. I could finally lay down and rest. Finally, as if I hadn't laid in the house all day, doing nothing more than resting. Yet that's exactly how my mind thinks every time I fall into this daunting mattress. Normally, I could feel peaceful. Soft clouds encased me as the Sandman would sprinkle the sweetest, finest sand in my weary eyes, being so easy while he would transition my mind to the dream world. More recently, it's a bit of a different story. Staring at the ceiling has turned into a nightly Olympic sport for me. See how long I can stare into the abyss, into nothing, before my mind finally shuts up and allows me to rest. Crowded thoughts and tantalizing words clutter every crevice of my brain, rendering my consciousness vague and foggy. Eventually the overcrowding becomes too much and I can start to distance myself, just enough to escape into the solitude of sleep. As soon as my eyelids start to droop, I don't waste any time. I abruptly close them and start to drift off. I'm in a house. It's so unfamiliar yet familiar at the same time. I know I haven't been here before, but why do I feel comfortable? The peeling blue paint on the uneven walls, white trim stained with dirt and filth, matched with cheap, thin carpet that felt more like concrete than anything else. This melting room is such a mess, too. There's so much on the floor, toys, books, furniture, all covered in dull white cobwebs. I'm standing in the middle of it all, completely content. I don't know where I am, nor do I seem to care. This feels like home. I know it isn't, but this is overwhelming. Welcoming feeling is too hard to fight, and before I'm even aware, I've already given in. Still unable to question my complacency, I find myself hypnotized, walking towards the light switch, turning it off to go to bed. I somehow already knew that I went through the rest of the house and turned the lights off. That's why every room was dark, but the blue room I was standing in. But how did I know that? It was like I woke up in the middle of a movie I've seen 100 times. I knew what I had already done, and I knew what I had to do next. I walked carefully through the maze of old dusty treasures strategically placed on the floor and turned off the light, completely ignoring the blue paint chips that scattered to the floor as I placed my hand easily on the wall. Besides the light switch was a white door, just like the one to the front door of my house, caked in filth. However, I knew this door wasn't to the outside driveway like it was at home. It was to another room with deep blood-red walls, one oddly shaped square window with cheap white blinds and nothing else. No furniture, no toys, no books, no mess, no treasure, no anything. Just a hard, light-colored wooden floor that looked as if it had never cradled one loving item. I opened the grungy white door, stick my hand inside to turn the light off. As soon as the light went dark, the room went black, all except for the shadow in front of the window. Only it was like an inverted shadow. Everything in the room was dark, except for what normally would have been a shadow cast from the sun shining through this weird window. That part was almost luminous, just one little patch of light with all four corners of the room draped in darkness. Darkness that would not allow this light to grow any further. You knew better. Turn that light back on, now. Who was that? Who said that? No sooner than those words fly across my mind, I'm met with the heart-pounding realization that I'm alone. That warning sunk into my very soul, violently grabbing every atom of happiness and drowning it, as it descended further and further. I was completely frozen, unable to move, unable to speak, unable to blink. I can't even get my chest to expand and contract. How am I breathing? My heart. I can feel my heart. Wait, this shouldn't be painful. Every beat of my heart pounded so hard it felt as if it was hitting my chest bone, slowly but viciously trying to break through. The slow, rough paces quickly turned to panicked, murderous thumps that cracked through my spine. Breathe! You need to breathe! Before I could spend another second focusing on my dying body, out of the corner of my eye, I see a large black figure start to gently slither my way. As I stood there in the doorway between the blue and red rooms, fear overcame every cell of my body, and my body refused to retreat. I've always been a fighter, even in my dreams. Worst case, I'll run away. I fully understand this fight-or-flight scenario, and I've employed both without any shame. This, however, was something I've never experienced before. I'm not just stuck in this old Victorian house. I'm stuck in this exact spot between what seems to be two different worlds. The world that comforted me so passionately just minutes ago, and the world that stood in front of me, a world made of nothing more than some starving stomach. It crept ever so slowly, like it was taking its time, building up the suspense before the big reveal. I just stood there, unable to heed the loud warning, unable to defend my very life. All I could do was wait and watch. No more than 3 steps were taken before the lights flipped back on. Although I am still glued in place, I can finally see the dark shadow that was inching towards me. Only it was no longer a black figure. It was my oldest daughter. It had her beautiful dark blonde hair, her searing blue-green eyes, and her cute pouty lips. But those lips were wrapped around a set of sharp, jagged teeth. And her smile. Oh, that smile. It was a smile that set so high on her perfect little cheeks that you could see every serrated tooth this thing had. It moved so differently, as if it was trying its best to mock her natural movements, but could only do so in small bursts, then get stuck and have to reorient. Despite its best efforts, I knew this could not be my child. The energy was wrong. It was chillingly cold, unnaturally cold. Mommy? What's wrong? It's me. It's your baby. Mommy? It kept screaming, repeating that same few words in my daughter's sweet voice. But that smile did not move. That gaping smile, those unsettling teeth, did not muster a word. It was biting down so hard I could hear its teeth grind as it shifted its sharp jaw, ever so slightly. Saliva ran down those teeth onto my daughter's chin, dripping into the perfect teardrop shape. Mommy, are you okay? What's wrong? It's me. It's Harper. It kept insisting that I fall for this facade, but I refused. I know my daughter, and this thing was not her. I'm still frozen, in the coldest, most unwelcoming fear I've ever felt. My body is still refusing to let any of my muscles move, and this thing is still coming towards me. Please, God, please. Let me out of here. Take me out. Take me out. Take me out. I pleaded over and over. I pleaded so loud I could no longer hear the false promises that this thing spouted. Closer and closer and closer. It wasn't going to stop, and I was helpless, oddly glitching across that cold hardwood floor. The footsteps just kept coming until it suddenly stopped. Now face to face with me, searing that bare, clenched smile like it was a badge of honor, eating my torment, making it obvious that it has never tasted something so scrumptious, engorged in the very essence of my enchanted state. It just stares at me, inches from my face, just staring with those fiery eyes and smiling. Please, God, please, I thought one last time as it slowly started to move again, frantically reaching its hand out to me, reaching for my porcelain face. Those couple traumatizing seconds felt like hours, like I was patiently waiting for it to take me, knowing there was no other thing I could do to stop it. I just had to accept it. This was it. I can't get out of this one. It's one. Just then, just millimeters from touching me, I was jolted awake like a shotgun had been aimed right at my chest and released. Waking up in a full panic, sweat running down my face, as well as tears. What had happened? Am I okay? Where did it go? I looked straight at the clock that reads 3 a.m. Of course. Of fucking course. I do what I can to calm down, take deep breaths and try to relax. Not working, I turn my phone on and start skimming through meaningless TikTok videos, hoping to at least distract myself. It worked, at least for the first few seconds of the few interesting videos I came across. But no later than that, I found myself staring off, stuck on the image of that smile. That feeling stayed even after I woke, although everyone in the house was still asleep. I felt like I wasn't alone. The eerie presence of that thing was still very present and very apparent. And what was the point of that dream? What was it trying to tell me, or was it trying to tell me anything at all? Was it really just feeding on my fear? Too many thoughts cloud my mind, so needless to say, any more sleep was out of the question. I'll just wait until 7 a.m. rolls around, eat something, an old superstition, and tell my mother about it if she's had some time to wake up. Maybe she has a different perspective than I'm not seeing. A few hours passed by, like minutes, and I really just sat here for 4 hours and literally not moved an inch. It was like I was frozen all over again, just completely unaware of time. I brush it off. This wasn't the first time I've lost time like this, and I'm not in the right mindset to care as I should. I grab a small bite to eat, get my phone out, and tell my mom everything I dreamt of. Wasn't this, was it? Was the only response I got, attached with a photo of this dark, empty, smiling thing, with black eyes and long pointed ears. Although I didn't recognize the face, that smile I most definitely recognized. That was the same exact smile that had just overtook the image of my daughter hours ago. Where did you get that? I demanded to know. Sorry, your sister drew that last night and she thought to herself, well, I'll dream about that, but she didn't. You did. She then told me I need to be more receptive to the good things that God shows me, but the God that I have gotten to know over the years wouldn't scare me like that, nor would he use my beautiful, innocent daughter to do so. There's only ever been one other time that I've had a dream that has scared me this bad, when I dreamed of driving through hellfire. At least in that dream, I was stuck in that truck, but I could move and react. In this dream, the fear was so immense, my body and mind lost all cognitive functions the very millisecond the lights went out in that red room. Fear that is so intense, it will always stay with me. I'll be sure to attach the screenshots of the text between my mother and I, including the photo that my sister drew. Just to add insult to injury, my youngest daughter, who is 3 years old, likes to go through my phone and look at all the photos I take of her sister, and the nature scenes around us. For some reason, she found the photo my sister had drawn of this thing, enlarged it, stuck the phone in my face, then just laughed. And it wasn't a genuine laugh. It was a fake, forced laugh. The kind of laugh you hear evil villains muster after their secret plans are employed. That is how she laughed. No, I haven't spoken to anyone about this dream except my mother and sister. I would never let my 10 and 3-year-old know about something so gruesome. So how did she know? How did my 3-year-old know to stop on that particular photo? And why did she laugh like that? I've never heard that laugh come from my child before. And she smiled so big as she laughed. That smile that set so high on her perfect little cheeks. And alright, that's going to wrap up this scary Reddit stories video. If you enjoyed, please make sure to subscribe and like this video. It is this channel's goal to get to 10,000 subs by the end of this year, and I think we can do it. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. See ya.